Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hatha Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua, and for today's practice, have the usual props, a blanket, a strap, and 2 yoga blocks, whatever that you have that you can serve as those purposes. And then let's begin in hero's pose, Virasana. And that's where you place your knees on the floor in front of you and point your toes back as you sit on your shins or sit on a block or pillow that's between your ankles, which can offer your knees some support if needed. And then let your hands rest on your lap, maybe turning the palms face down to ground or palms face up to invite more uplifting energy if needed. And then allow your shoulders to roll back and down as you stack them above your hips. Sense the crown of your head lifting as it stacks above your tailbone. And then allow a moment to just pay attention to what you're working with physically, mentally, energetically, as you begin your practice. Here is an excerpt from the Yoga Almanac called Transcendental Self-Inquiry. Like consciousness, awareness is everywhere. The Mandukya Upanishad describes consciousness as having 4 separate states: waking or Jagrat, dreaming, Svapna, deep sleep or Sushupti, and pure consciousness or Turiya. Turiya, a concept utilized by transcendental meditation practitioners, has been described as the superconscious or the ultimate experience of reality, and is compared to the unified field. Turiya is transcendence from the worlds of waking or visible body and dreaming or subtle body, and even deep restful sleep or causal body, where consciousness exists undistracted by the mind. The causal body is described by the doctrine of the 3 bodies in Hinduism as the last permeable veil of the soul. The sutras, the Yoga Sutras, describe the 5 koshas. We've talked a lot about that here, or sheaths that conceal the self like layers of an onion. To experience Turiya is to go beyond these layers. The Hindu spiritual teacher and yoga master Swami Sivananda described Turiya as returning to a state of infinite bliss, a union or yoking of the self or Atman with God or the divine. Through meditation, be it transcendental or Zen, Vedic, or mindfulness, we participate in a lifelong process of uncovering the real self, diving deeper into states of higher consciousness, beyond words and thoughts, to the illumination of universal intelligence. Much like the cosmos, this core wisdom is ever expanding and infinite. Transcendence is an inward exploration, not a destination. It's a never-ending journey of practice and devotion. Contemplative inquiry provides higher insight about our life's purpose beyond the limitations of the mind. The Upanishads states that without the true self, life could not exist, for the self is within all beings and transcends all. The self is everywhere. Bright is the self, indivisible, untouched by sin, wise, immanent, and transcendent, holding the cosmos together. As we sit here, just feeling how life is flowing through you, life force energy or prana, just like it's flowing through these flowers around me, or through other beings that you might be hearing or sensing near your environment. Take a moment to clarify an intention for your practice. And with that, perhaps bring to mind a sense of being aware of the life that is flowing through you and me, all of us, in our interconnectedness. just like we're connecting our own minds, bodies, spirits in this practice. Let's open with resonance, chanting one Om. Empty this breath. Take a deep in breath. Bowing in towards your inner guidance, taking this practice at your pace, moment by moment, listening with your whole being. Let's start to deepen the breath slowly in through your nose. And like you're fogging a mirror, gently whisper it out through your mouth, just as slowly. One more time, in through the nose, maybe a little bit slower. Like you're fogging a mirror, softly whisper it out through the mouth, just as slowly. Continue that even length of sustained in and out breaths. And now close your lips. And if you can, continue to breathe just through your nose while softly constricting the back of your throat so that you can create a subtle version of that fogging the mirror sound with the lips closed. This is a breathing technique called Ujjayi Pranayama, or victorious breathing. Use it to regulate your nervous system to a state of balance, to warm up your body and prepare it to move, and to anchor your mind with that sound in the present moment. So as you continue creating that sound for as long as you can throughout this practice, let's come down onto downward facing dog. This is lifting your hips high and back and spreading your fingers flat on the mat. Take a few breaths to move your body if you need to in your own way. You might be pedaling your feet slowly in place. You might be swiveling your hips left and right. Maybe softly shaking and nodding your head to loosen your neck. Make sure that your index fingers in downward dog are not at all pointing at each other. Either direct them straight forward so they're parallel to each other, or if you've got any rounding in the shoulders, counter that by slightly turning out your hands. Index fingers towards upper outer corners of your mat. And then stretch the thumbs flat towards each other while rotating your outer upper arms towards the ground to broaden your shoulder blades wider apart. Soften the back of your neck as you lift the shoulders away from it. And then bend your knees, see if you might be able to lift your hips even higher while pulling them further back, as though you're creating a lengthened flat back. Keep the breath going and firm in the belly. Press the tops, front of your thighs back. And then let your heels descend heavier and heavier towards the ground. You might keep your knees bent. The heels may or may not touch the earth. And now let's focus the eyes in one spot here, steadying your drishti or your gaze for 3 more slow Ujjayi breaths. After your third exhalation with bent knees looking past your hands, empty the breath, then walk to the front of your mat to stand in Uttanasana, or standing forward fold. Feet hips width apart, parallel to each other. Bend your knees any amount so that your spine can feel its fullest length while lifting your shoulders up away from your neck. Tilt your weight as far forward as you can balance here, then press your fingertips either on the ground ahead or onto your legs, while inhaling to stretch the top of your head towards the front wall, sending the shoulders back, half forward fold. Exhale, bow again. Press down through your feet, and as you breathe in, sweep your arms forward to rise all the way up to stand. Watch your palms meet overhead. Then exhale, trace your thumbs from the crown of your head to your heart center, Pausing here in Padasana, which means hands together at the heart in mountain pose. So with your intention, let's flow to the breath in 3 rounds of Surya Namaskar A, or Sun Salutation A. As you breathe in, circle your arms apart, join your palms at the top, gaze up. As you breathe out, hinge from your hips with a flat back, bending your knees if that helps. Press your fingertips on the ground of your legs firmly. Inhale, stretch the top of your head forward. Walk your hands flat to the floor and step into plank pose with knees on the ground or legs straight. As you exhale to glide forward, graze your elbows by your ribs through Chaturanga and come all the way down. Firm the tops of your feet on the floor and inhale, coil your chest up, hugging your elbows to your ribs, Cobra pose. Tucking your toes, exhale, press the ground away. Lift your pelvis high and back to downward facing dog. Steady your gaze, your breath, and still your body. 3 deep breaths. On your 3rd inhalation, bend your knees to prepare and look past your hands. After you exhale, walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat in a forward fold. Pressing your legs to the ground, inhale, lengthen the top of your head forward in half forward fold. Exhale, bow again. Pressing down with your feet, inhale, circle your arms, rise, joining your palms overhead as you gaze at them. Exhale your hands to your heart. Again, inhale, sweep your arms up into Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow into Uttanasana. Inhale, half forward fold or Ardha Uttanasana. Step to plank, or if you're ready, float lightly into Chaturanga Dandasana. If you're stepping, glide forward and down, this time Cobra or upward facing dog, coiling your chest as you relax the shoulders. Exhale, pull your hips up and back. Adho Mukha Svanasana, 3 breaths. At the 3rd inhalation, prepare by bending your knees and looking forward. After you exhale, walk or float to the front of your mat. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, half forward fold. Exhale, Uttanasana, bow. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, palms overhead in mountain pose. Exhale, Padasana, hands to the heart in mountain pose. So moving on, Sun Salutation B. Let the inner edges of your big toes touch, knees touch, and then sit low in chair pose. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Press the ground to your legs. Inhale, lengthen forward. Step to plank or float into Chaturanga Dandasana. Cobra or upward dog. Exhale, downward facing. Inhale, raise your right leg behind you, keeping your hips squared towards the floor. Exhale, step the foot lightly beside your right thumb, spin your left heel down. Inhale, rise to Warrior One. Exhale, lower from plank, flowing into your vinyasa, which is Chaturanga, and either Cobra or Upward Dog. Then back to Downward Dog. Side 2. Inhale, raise your left leg, keeping your hips leveled. Exhale, step the foot lightly beside your left thumb, spin your right heel down. Inhale, rise to Warrior One. Exhale from plank, flow into your vinyasa. Follow your breath. Arriving at Downward Dog, pause here for 3 slow breaths. After the 3rd exhale, walk or float to the front of your mat with feet touching. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees. Inhale, sit in chair pose. Exhale, hands together in mountain pose. Twice more, Surya Namaskar B. Inhale, sit into Utkatasana. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana. Inhale, half forward fold, Ardha Uttanasana. Step or float, flow through your vinyasa. Slow, mindful breaths and movements, downward dog. Inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale, step it forward, drop the back heel. Inhale, rise to Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, lower to flow into your vinyasa. Side 2, inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale the foot forward, drop the back heel. Inhale, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale into your vinyasa. At downward dog, pause again for 3 breaths, cultivating stillness and concentration. After your third exhale, walk or lightly jump to the top of your mat. There, inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, Padasana. Last time, inhale, chair. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half fold. Walk or float into your vinyasa. Downward dog. Inhale, raise right leg. Exhale, step it forward, drop back heel. Inhale, warrior 1. Lower and flow, vinyasa. Side 2, inhale, lift, left leg. Exhale, step it forward, drop back heel. Inhale, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale into your vinyasa. Back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Be still, 3 breaths. Choose a focal point. Let's practice stillness and focus. At the end of your third exhalation, walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat. There, inhale, lengthen, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Feet together, knees together. Inhale to chair. Exhale, rise up, Padasana. Let's prepare for revolved chair as we're warming up here. So come back to hugging the knees, hugging the feet together, join your hands. And as you see your knees in one line, keep your 2 hips firming in. Breathe in, pull your hips back and down, hug the front ribs in, and lengthen up through the top of your head. Breathe out without turning the pelvis, begin to turn your chest to the right. A few more breaths, inhale, pull the hips back and down, stretch the spine forward. Exhale without turning the pelvis, keep turning your chest. See if you might be able to hook the left elbow outside your right thigh, and either join your hands in prayer still, or open the arms wide. About 3 more breaths. Soften your shoulders down your back and broaden your chest. Sink your hips a little lower. Inhale, arms forward, back to chair pose. Exhale, rise up to mountain pose. Okay, getting warm on this end. Hope you are too. Second side, feet together. Knees together, hands together, chair. Breathe in, lengthen your spine. Your left exhale, begin to twist. Take it breath by breath. Inhale, sink the hips back, lengthen the spine. Without turning the pelvis, exhale, turn the chest a bit more. 3 more breaths. You might be hooking the elbow. You might be spreading the arms. If you look at your knees, make sure the right knee is not coming forward of the left. If so, tack the right hip back and maybe back off a little from the twist if needed. 1 more breath. Sink your hips a little lower. Inhale the arms forward, chair pose. Exhale, Padasana again. Step your left foot all the way to the back of your mat, a giant step, aligning your right heel to the arch of your left foot, and open your arms to Warrior Two. Notice here that your left leg is rotated inward about 45 degrees from the hip socket and straight, pressing the outer left foot into the ground, while your right leg is rotated 90 degrees outward towards the front of your mat as you bend the front knee right on top of the heel, pointing it towards the pinky toe. Then as you firm the top of your left thigh bone back, stack your 2 shoulders right above your hips and lengthen up and down your spine while steadying your gaze just past your right hand. 3 more breaths. Virabhadrasana 2. Trikonasana, or triangle pose. Straighten your right leg. You might opt to shorten your stance a couple inches to help balance. Glide your hips sideways towards the back wall. Reach your right hand horizontally towards the front wall before placing that hand to the right side of your right shin. If the ground is too low, place your hand on your block. You've got 3 heights on that block to choose from. Press your right arm against your outer right shin and press your right shin against your right arm while tacking the crease of your right hip towards your outer left foot and spiraling your chest towards the sky, perhaps gazing up past your left thumb. Listen to your breath. About 3 more cycles in Trikonasana. Pressing down to your feet, rebend your right knee, rise up to Warrior Two for Parshvakonasana. Keep the front knee bent, and like triangle, glide your hips sideways towards the back wall again, but this time, first stage is to press your right forearm against your right thigh and raise the left arm straight up. Second stage is to bring the right hand onto a block on the outside of your right leg, so your wrist is directly under your right shoulder. Or you might bring your fingertips to the ground as long as it's not compressing that right side of your torso and lower back. Keep rolling the right outer hip underneath your body, tacking the crease of your right hip towards your outer left foot, while lengthening the crown of your head towards the front wall and spiraling your chest towards the sky. Maybe gazing past the left thumb again. Let's take this into extended side angle. Rotate your left tricep towards the left wall and sweep that arm overhead towards the front wall. Keep drawing your shoulders down your back. 3 more breaths. Gaze at the ground, foot ahead of your right foot, and let's prepare for Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. You may like to place your left hand on your left hip as you transition. Crawl your right hand to land 6 inches ahead and to the right of your right pinky toe. Use a block if the floor feels too low. Drag your left foot forward and flex that foot off the floor, creating a horizontal line with your spine and that left leg, tracing the midline of your mat. Turn your chest to face the left wall. Maybe raise the left arm up if you're not already. And breathe. A few more cycles of breath. Half moon pose. One more deep breath. Expand through all of your limbs, your spine. Then bend your right knee. And as you exhale, slowly step your left foot to the rear of your mat, returning to Warrior Two. From Warrior Two, step your left foot to the top of your mat and come back to Mountain Pose. We'll switch sides this way so it's a little bit easier to follow, orienting from Mountain. Start with your feet together facing the front of your room. Then take a giant step back with your right foot and align your left heel to the arch of your right foot. Open your arms, turn your chest to face the right wall, and gaze past the left hand. Warrior Two. So rotating right leg slightly inward, press the top of your right thigh bone back towards you, while rotating the left outer hip under your body. Stack the front knee just over your heel, pointed towards your left pinky toe. Stack your shoulders right above your hips. Encourage the fullest length of your spine. Last 2 breaths. And then straighten your left leg for triangle. You might like to shorten your stance a couple inches. Glide your hips towards the rear wall, reach the left hand towards the front, then place it to the left side of your left shin, right up against your leg, so that your arm and leg are firming against each other. Feel that interconnectedness for stability and support while you rotate your chest slightly to face the sky. Stretching your tailbone back towards your outer right heel and your crown forward towards the front wall. About 3 more breaths in Trikonasana. Rooting down through both feet. Rebend your left knee and rise back to Warrior Two. Keep the front knee bent and glide the hips towards the back of your mat like triangle. Reach the left arm forward, and first stage is to press the forearm onto your left thigh, the right arm towards the sky. Side angle pose. Or you can opt to place the left hand on the left side of your left thigh, so the wrist is directly under your left shoulder on a block or the ground. Make sure you're not compressing that left side of your torso or lower back. Keep drawing the crease of your left hip towards the back of your mat. Let's take it into extended side angle. Rotate your right tricep to face the right wall. Then sweep the right arm overhead towards the front wall. Keep pressing the shoulders down your back and spiraling your chest towards the sky. Last 3 breaths in Utthita Parshvakonasana. From here, gaze at the ground just ahead of your left foot and walk the left fingertips forward 6 inches from the left pinky toe and to the left outer corner. Use a block if needed. Flex your right foot off the floor. Turn your chest to face your right wall. Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Notice how you're breathing. Two more breaths. Deep inhale. Bending your left knee. As you exhale, softly step the right foot back, arriving in Warrior Two again. This time, cartwheel your hands to the floor and take your vinyasa. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Steadying your breath. Keeping your hips leveled. Inhale, raise your right leg behind you. Exhale, step the foot beside your right thumb and arrive in a high lunge, high on the ball of your left foot, with your feet parallel to each other and hips width apart. Press down to your feet. Inhale, rise up, arms overhead and crescent lunge. Now you may want to bend your left knee, at least for the first few breaths, to help direct your tailbone downward. Slightly lift your frontal hip bones and square your hips by tacking the right outer hip back and rolling the left outer hip forward. And once you have that sense of centeredness, literally, if your left hip flexor is open to it, you can start to straighten the left leg, but keep your pelvis from tilting forward. Bend the front knee right on top of the heel. As you raise the arms up, whether arms apart or palms joined, relax the shoulders and steady your gaze for 3 more breaths. Bring your hands together at your heart, firm back through your inner left heel. And as you inhale, lean your torso forward diagonally, scissoring the right hip back and dropping it a little lower. Keep your 2 hips leveled and facing forward as you exhale to twist to your right, either lowering the left hand on the inside of your right leg, on a block or the floor and raising the right arm, or hooking the left elbow outside your right thigh in Parita Parshvakonasana, where the hands can be in prayer, where the arms are wide apart. Keep firming back through your inner left heel. If you're finding that your balance is off, you could also place your left knee on the floor to add support. 8 more breaths. Lengthen your center line as you inhale. Just a little more if you can as you exhale. Take a look at your right foot. Plant your 2 hands to frame it. Use blocks here if needed. And step your left foot about 6 inches forward to a shorter stance. Straightening both legs for pyramid pose. Drop both heels. Square your hips to face the front wall. Breathe in. Lengthen to a flat back, lifting the chest. Exhale. Start to bow towards your right leg. As you're bowing, notice where you're bowing from. Avoid bowing just from your neck, which closes off the chin to the chest. Focus on bowing from your hips. Parshvakonasana, which means pyramid pose. Let's take 2 more breaths. Nice, and then from here, stretch the crown of your head forward and bend your right knee slightly, preparing to enter Warrior 3. Now you could walk your hands a foot ahead of your front foot and place them on blocks or the floor, or you can go hands free, join your hands at your heart, flex your left foot as it leaves the ground, and spin your inner left thigh towards the ceiling so that your left outer hip faces the floor. Help to equally lengthen the left and right sides of your torso by tacking your outer right hip back and elongating your spine forward with just a head on the floor. More breaths. Virabhadrasana 3. Step your left foot to meet your right foot and bow over your legs in standing forward fold. From here, bend your knees together. 1 inhale, chair pose. Bring your hands to your hips. Flex your right foot and shift your weight onto your left foot. And rise up to stand just on your left leg, bending your right knee in front of you. We're gonna play with a standing balancing twist, very similar to the twist you just did in the lunge. So you use your right hand to cup your right outer hip and plug it downward so that the level of your 2 hips is the same. Left hand crosses over to catch your outer right bent knee, or if you'd like to straighten the leg, catch your outer right foot. As you kick it forward, you're pulling it towards you. Keeping your spine upright, breathe in and press into the floor, rebounding a length up your center line. Breathe out, keep drawing the right outer hip down, moving to turn your chest to the right, entering your twist. Perhaps reaching your right arm towards the back wall and beginning to look towards it, breath by breath. This is called Parita Uttita Hasta Parambushtasana. Revolved, standing, hand to big toe twist. Last 3 breaths. Stay in the posture, but gaze forward. Keep the breath going. Bend your right knee again. Take hold of that thigh or shin. Stand tall for 1 breath. And then mountain pose. Join your hands at your heart and take a slow breath here. Inhale, circle your arms overhead. I realize we only did 2 of 3 sun salutation A's, so here's a third. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen forward. Step or float, take your vinyasa. Downward dog, steady your breath. And inhale, raise your left leg from the inseam. Exhale, lightly step the foot beside your left thumb. High lunge, feet hips width apart and parallel. Come up high on the ball of your right foot. Press down to your feet. Inhale, rise, crescent pose. You might bend your back knee, at least for the first few breaths, getting a sense of centeredness. Dropping the tailbone, lifting your frontal hip bones, bringing the right outer hip forward and scissoring the left outer hip back. Bend your front knee just over the heel. Raise your arms high, palms together or apart. Let's take 3 more breaths as you steady your drishti, your gaze. Maybe straightening the back leg. Let's join the hands together at the heart. And inhale, lengthen your spine forward, tilting to a diagonal. Exhale, twist to your left in the same way as you did in Parita Ardhva Either landing right hand on a block or the floor, on the inner side of your left leg, left arm to the sky, maybe hooking right elbow outside left thigh, hands in prayer or wide apart. 3 more breaths. Now look down at your left foot and land your hands to frame it. Use blocks if needed. Step your right foot 6 inches forward. Keep your feet in their separate lanes as you drop the back heel. With both legs straight, square both hips to face the front wall. Inhale to a flat back as you lift your chest. Exhale, fold in for a few more breaths. Ardhva Pyramid pose. Inhale, rise to a flat back again, lifting your chest. This time, bend your left knee slightly. Either crawl your hands forward on blocks or the floor to enter Warrior 3, or join your hands at your heart and start to lift from the inseam of your right leg, flexing your right foot. Turn your right outer hip to face the ground and tack your left outer hip back as you stretch the top of your head forward, drawing your navel towards your spine. How is your breathing? Last 3 cycles in Virabhadrasana 3. Step your right foot to meet the left and fold over your legs. Top of your mat, Uttanasana. Feet together, knees together. Inhale into Utkatasana, chair pose. Bring your hands to your hips Exhale, flex the left foot to hover and rise to stand just on your right leg, bending the left knee in front of you. Use your left hand to cup your left outer hip and roll it down to meet the height of your right hip, creating that feeling of centeredness. Either cross your right hand to hold your outer left bent knee, or if you'd like to straighten the left leg, touch the outer foot and kick the foot forward as you're pulling it, keeping your spine upright, shoulders down. Press into the ground to root down and rise up as you breathe in. Exhale, start to turn your chest to the left and maybe reach your left arm towards the back wall. About 3 more breaths. Revolved, hand to big toe pose. Parita, Uttita Hasta Parangushtasana. Stay in the posture as you look forward towards your front wall. Bend your left knee, catch the thigh or shin. Take a breath here, standing on your right leg. Then step the left foot down. Hadasana, hands to the heart. 3 deep breaths. Then step your right foot a giant step towards the rear of your mat and pivot both feet to a parallel wide stance. Preparing for hands clasped behind your back, or you could hold the strap between your hands. Wide-legged forward fold. So roll your shoulders back and lift your chest. Inhale, look up. Exhale, hinge from your hips and shift your weight forward while dropping your skull and stretching your arms further away from your lower back. Bend your elbows slightly and lift your shoulders up away from your neck. Let's take another 3 breaths in this variation of Prasarita Padottanasana. Bend your knees. Inhale, rise to a flat back, lifting the chest. Place your fingertips on the ground or use blocks if needed. Exhale, fold in. Walking the hands back to your degree, notice if you might be able to flatten your palms on the floor and point your fingertips forward, bending the elbows back so that your arms look like Chaturanga Dandasana, parallel to each other and bent at 90-degree angles where your elbows stack right above your wrists. If so, notice if you're also able to plant the top of your head on the ground, creating a triangle out of both heels of your palms and the crown of your head. If you've got that going, you could start to make your way into tripod headstand. Making sure the arms stay parallel, use your hands to press into the ground and rebound a lift of your shoulders to free up space in your neck. Then, as you firm the belly, you can start to come up high on your toes and just start to feel the pelvic bowl turning upside down, where you can stack one knee and then the other knee on top of your upper arms and bring your feet together like crow pose, flexed. Maybe this is plenty, or you start to bend both knees towards your chest and activate your belly as you would in boat pose. Begin to unfold the legs straight until you vertically stack your ankles, feet together flexed, your hips, your shoulders. Whatever variation. Let's take another 3 to 5 breaths. To come down, you could reverse the stages, or you could straddle the legs wide. Turn the pelvis downside up, and not upside down. And then start to walk your hands forward into a flat back. Inhale to rise halfway up. Exhale, pause here, bend the knees, bring your hands to your hips. Lead with your chest, inhale, rise all the way up. Now let's place the knees on the floor and take that Virasana posture we started with, that hero's pose, a little further, if your knees are okay with it. Use a prop underneath your glutes, right between your ankles if you need something to sit on. But if you feel pretty okay sitting directly on your calves, see if you might be able to move your calves aside gently and sit on the ground right between your ankles, pointing the toes back. See that your knees are no wider than your hips distance apart. Then you can start to walk the hands back. You're going to take about 10 slow breaths here, exploring to whatever degree, if any, you could lean further back without feeling any compression in the lower back. So think of drawing your tailbone forward towards the space between your knees, heeling the bottom of your front ribs inward towards your back, and lengthening the fronts of your thighs forward. Find a degree that you can lean back, if any. Maybe you're feeling plenty of a stretch if your spine is upright. Whatever your degree, pause there and keep breathing mindfully. So that your jaw is relaxed, your breath is sustained and even. Interestingly, stretching the front of our thighs and hips like we are doing now is important if you want to go further in your back bends, in those heart opening bridge and upward bow type poses, which is coming next. 2 more breaths where you are. Now, don't rush coming out. Take a few breaths, especially if you've laid back all the way, to slowly lift your torso upright and to eventually step your feet on the ground in front of you so that you're sitting at the middle of your mat. Then please take a block and hug the skinny width between your knees and thighs, separating your feet just as wide apart as your knees, parallel the feet. Slowly lower onto your back. Walking your heels back until you could almost graze them with your fingertips, but not quite. Prepare for 1 round of bridge pose. Round your shoulders and tilt your chin slightly back. Then press your feet down and inhale, lift your hips. Stretch the front of your thighs forward and spin your inner thighs slightly towards the floor without moving your feet. Walk your upper arms as close together as you can and keep your arms straight, not bending the elbows. If your hands touch, you might interlace your fingers. Press down with your outer upper arms and feet. Activate your hamstrings as if you're dragging your feet towards your glutes. And stretch your tailbone towards the block. Open your throat and chest. Take at least 3 more breaths here in Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, bridge pose. When you're ready, exhale, slowly lower upper back, middle back tailbone. Keep the block where it is and rest for 3 breaths. Now the second variation of our 3 back bends is moving towards upward facing bow. We'll start off similarly like bridge, but with the arms different. And then you can take it to the degree towards upward bow that you feel your body's ready for. So from here, extend your arms straight up, palms face each other, rotate your triceps towards the front of the room, bend your elbows and flex your wrists so that your palms land face down alongside your ears. Turn out your fingertips slightly and step them out as wide apart, maybe a little bit wider than shoulders distance so that your elbows remain shoulders width apart the entire pose. You don't want to splay open the elbows any wider. Draw the shoulders down your back, press down to your feet, and begin in bridge pose with your arms in this variation. Lifting your hips, stretch the fronts of your thighs forward. Perhaps this is plenty and you'll stay here for 5 to 10 breaths. Or press to your palms and bring the crown of your head to the floor. Maybe you walk the hands a little wider apart to keep the elbows, shoulders distance. Stay here, or press off your hands and feet and stretch your thighs forward. Reach your chest towards the back wall. Breathe. This is upward facing bow, or Urdhva Dhanurasana. Imagine, without moving your feet, that you're dragging them back towards the rear of your mat as you stretch the front of your thighs forward towards the front of your mat. When you're ready to come down, bring the top of your head to the floor, tuck your chin towards your chest, then gently lower upper back, middle back, tailbone. Relax your arms and let's take 3 breaths to rest. So, you've got those first 2 options for back bends, bridge, upward facing bow, or if you're feeling pretty open in your shoulders, we can see if it's available to bring the forearms to the floor instead of the palms. So we start similarly. If you're taking that 3rd variation of forearms, upward bow, follow me through. Otherwise, take one of the first 2 on your own. 5 to 10 breaths. So for the forearm version, plant your hands alongside your ears, rotate the triceps towards the front wall, plug the shoulders down your back. Press through your feet, lift the pelvis, breathe. Press through your hands, bring the top of your head to the floor, breathe. Then place your elbows on the floor and interlace your fingers. Root down to your elbows, keep them shoulders width, and stretch your thighs forward. Imagine you're dragging your heels towards the back of your mat, but don't actually move your feet. You don't want to feel that you're arching a lot in the lower back. You want to direct most of the back bend right under your shoulder blades. Some of you might straighten the legs. Walk the soles of your feet forward and flat. When you finish on your own 5 to 10 breaths, lower through the stages you got up in reverse. So if legs are straight, bend the knees. Bring the top of the head to the floor, place the hands on the floor. Tuck the chin towards your chest, then lower upper back, middle back, tailbone. Let's remove that block this time. Keep your knees bent. Slide your feet apart, wider than hips distance. Drop your knees together to touch. Place the left hand at the center of your chest and the right hand at your lower belly. And let's take 3 slow, mindful breaths. And then from here, turn over to one side or rock forward. And please make your way up to sit for our seated spinal twist. Extending your left leg forward. Step your right foot on the ground in front of your right hip, or cross it outside of your left knee. Maybe also bend the left knee. Backstroke your right hand to the floor behind your pelvis and raise your left arm. Press into the ground, sit up taller as you breathe in, twist to your right as you breathe out, and hold your top leg. Or hook your elbow outside the thigh. And or reach your left hand to hold your right knee. Your left knee. Left hand to hold the left knee as you continue to twist. 2 more breaths. On this next exhalation, unwind your spine and step that right foot in front of your right hip. Straighten the left leg forward as we prepare for an optional bind in a variation of a forward fold. So here's where you might use a strap. You can place that strap behind you on the ground so that you can see both tails on either side of you. Then reach your right arm forward on the inner side of your right thigh. Cross the right arm in front of the right shin and catch hold of the strap on that side. and catch hold of the strap on your left side. Then in this bind, you can walk your hands as close together as you can on the strap. Maybe you clasp your hands, or you hold your right wrist, or you hold the strap. Flex your left foot and stretch your spine towards a flat back. Then exhale, fold as if reaching your sternum towards your left pinky toe. Take another 4 breaths. Press down to your legs and pelvis. Inhale, lift up, and relax your arms and legs. Let's start with a twist first. Bend your left knee and step the foot either in front of your left hip or outside your right knee, in which you might bend your right knee too. Backstroke your left hand behind your pelvis. Raise your right arm. Press down to lift up as you breathe in. Exhale, twist to your left and either hold your top leg or hook your elbow outside of it. If the latter, you might also hold your right knee with your right hand, twisting. Keep breathing. Last 2 breaths. As you exhale, unwind your spine and step your left foot on the ground in front of your left hip. Straighten the right leg forward with a foot flexed. You might want to have that strap around you so you can see both ends of it on either side of you. Then raise your left arm, lean forward and bring it on the inside of your left thigh. Cross the arm in front of your left shin. Take hold of the strap there. Take hold of the strap with your right hand. And then with your thumbs pointing towards your midline, walk your hands as close together as you can on the strap. Maybe you clasp your hands and drop the strap. Maybe you hold your left wrist. And then inhale, stretch your spine towards the flat back. Shoulders away from the neck. Exhale, reach your sternum forward towards your right pinky toe. 4 more breaths. Root down through your legs and pelvis. Breathe in, slowly rise up. Now let's prepare for shoulder stand. That's where you might find this folded blanket useful. Make sure that it's smoothly folded. I don't know, about the thickness of an inch, a little over an inch and 1/4 or something. And then place the smooth part of the fold about a foot inward from the rear edge of your mat if you're coming into traditional shoulder stand. Otherwise, you can take supported shoulder stand, putting a block under your sacrum and lying flat on the ground, lifting the legs straight up. Only practice the traditional shoulder stand if you have no neck injuries or neck issues. So here you lie back until the top edges of your shoulder bones are inward about 1.5 inches from that smooth folded edge of the blanket. So the back of your head is on the floor. Then you plug your elbows down into the ground or the blanket, right up against your rib cage, lifting your pelvis with the help of your hands on your lower back. Extending your legs straight up, tilt your chin slightly away from your chest so that you can maintain the natural space and curvature in your neck. 5 to 10 breaths in Salamba Sharvangasana, shoulder stand. You might also move through Halasana, in which you bring the legs overhead. You might also interlace the fingers like you would in bridge pose. And Halasana is plow pose. In a variation of Halasana, you could bend the knees, and with your knees, hug your temples. Relaxing for the nervous system. And then when you're ready, use your hands to hold your lower back and gradually lower upper back, middle back, pelvis. Remove any prop that's underneath your body, and let's prepare for fish pose, where you lie down flat with the legs straight ahead, feet together but relaxed. And with your palms face down, slip them underneath your pelvis so that your thumbs meet. Pressing the ground with your elbows, forearms, and palms, lift your chest and tilt your chin as far back as you comfortably can. You might place the crown of your head on the floor and see your back wall. You might not. And then take 5 clearing exhales. I invite you to practice Simasana Pranayama, lion's breath. Inhaling deeply through the nose and exhaling any sound with the mouth wide, the tongue out. 4 more breaths. And then when you're done, lower your back to the ground, bend your knees into your chest, maybe rock a little side to side, maybe take a few breaths in happy baby pose before you place your body in Shavasana. Let your feet flop, separated, wider than your hips distance. Allow your shoulders to soften back towards the ground and down your back. Perhaps the palms turned up to allow the fronts of your shoulders to open up. And as you close your eyes, scan your body one by one, each part. Bottom of the left foot, bottom of the right foot. And take your time on your own, easing your way up eventually to your crown, giving each part permission to let go of all effort as you let go of effort in your breath. Pause a moment before you begin to move your body and check in like you did at the very start when you first arrived in this practice. Notice if anything feels different. And then take your time as you're ready. Notice what part of your body wants to move first and be gentle with yourself. Easing into one movement, into another stretch. You might turn slowly to your right side and take your time lifting your body up, finding a comfortable seat for our 5 minutes of meditation. So our practice today is Vipassana meditation. And Vipassana is often known as insight meditation. It's translated as insight. It's a 2,500-year-old technique used by the Buddha to cultivate higher awareness. And it's a practice of developing clear, unobstructed awareness of the present moment. It's a glimpse of reality as it is, by which you can sit in meditation and concentrate on a focal point to break through mental sheaths or layers and begin to experience pure bliss awareness. So I invite you to choose a point of focus. If you want to keep your eyes open, maybe place an object in front of you at eye level that is simple and not distracting, like a flower or a lit candle. And you can practice gazing meditation or trataka. Otherwise, if you're closing your eyes, or if you have your eyes open, you might choose to focus on your breath, steadying your awareness in one particular area of your body or a sensation of the breath as it naturally flows in and out. So choosing your point of focus, which is in the present moment. Let's sit in silence for 5 minutes. As you bring your attention back to your physical being and your physical space, the room that you're in, please bring your palms to meet at your heart, bowing in to close this practice. Gratitude to your inner guidance and anything that you can appreciate in this moment. With that, let's close chanting one Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.